There's always a story behind a brand people brag about, and today we'll be talking about a $6 bagel business with a wait list. Yes, you heard that right. Because when a brand really lands, it doesn't just sell products, but it actually makes people talk. Customers come back, they bring their friends, they post about you, not because you asked, because they actually want to. And people feel connected to you, like they want to be a part of your brand. It stops becoming just a business and instead becomes a community. And speaking of community, today I want to walk you through one of my favorite transformations we've done here at Verdure Design Co. The story of how a humble little bagel shop became the most talked about food spot in Champaign, Illinois. Here's what we'll break down in the video. What actually makes a brand loved, not just seen, how to position yourself when you're the underdog in a saturated market, and how branding helped a tiny local shop punch way above its weight. But before that, if you're new here, hi, I'm Hunter Myers, the face and mind behind Verdure Design Co. Through strategy-led design, I help bold founders build magnetic brands that sell with clarity and confidence. And here on this channel, we treat branding a little bit like dating, because both require chemistry, commitment, and a killer first impression. Now, let's get into it. If you've ever wondered if branding is actually worth the investment, not just the visuals, but the actual strategy behind it, this story is proof. So let's rewind to January of 2024. Dakota and Jeff are showing up every weekend at their local farmer's market, slinging bagels from a fold-out table with a makeshift setup and a whole lot of grit. They didn't have any storefront and were working with a DIY logo and makeshift brand. But what they had was enough for that moment, which was incredible food and a really big vision. Fast forward 9 months and they were opening their own brick and mortar business. But the challenges hit really fast.
When it comes to realizing that we probably needed some help in doing some of this, really came with the idea that we were going to be opening our first store. I think when we were operating as a cottage food org, it was easy to kind of feel a little more homemade and put together with patchwork and things like that. But we really wanted to make a statement when we were opening our first store. We knew that the actual location, the physical location we were going to be opening in, was going to be a lower foot traffic and maybe a little harder to attract people to. So we wanted to try to enhance that with brand recognition and brand visibility. And we wanted it to really look very professional, very clean, and not just kind of like patchworked together with a little bit of hodgepodge.
Their location wasn't in the most obvious place in town. Competitors nearby already had years of brand loyalty, and they were, by all means, the new kids on the block. If you ever felt like you had something really amazing to offer, but the odds were stacked against you, you're gonna wanna hang out until the end. You see, Dakota and Jeff didn't just wanna sell bagels. They wanted to create a full-on experience for their customers, and they were crystal clear about that when they reached out to me.
The challenges that we were facing with our branding was that we were trying to come up with something that looked professional, something consistent, and something that we could apply to multiple pieces of company documentation and stuff.
Part of working together as a group was really interesting because it was nice to bring a third party kind of into the discussion, but we needed someone else to be able to take all of the ideas that we had. We wanted to figure out, how did you bring mid-century into this? How do you bring the essence of like Judy Garland and Good Judy into all these things and bring them together? We had so many ideas. We just didn't know how to narrow them down, how to really bring them together to refine the brand and stuff. The way in which kind of the partnership is built out with Hunter is really nice because you get to start really with that discovery phase. It's just like Hunter gives you a blank wall and you can put anything you want on it and nothing's out of bounds, which was like so great because then as you continue through the process, it just really was collaborative from beginning to end. And I would 100% choose that again.
Whether someone walked into their shop, stumbled across their website, or saw their stickers out in the wild, it had to feel like something people wanted to be a part of. And that meant building a brand that pulled people in before a bagel ever hit their plate. One that attracted people through storytelling, consistency, and really intentional design. And with that goal in mind, we identified 2 key audiences that they were going to want to target. First, local families and small businesses looking for a warm, dependable spot to hang out. And second, grad students who wanted a cozy, comfortable escape from the campus chaos. The name Good Judys was already a sweet nod to Judy Garland in the queer community, a built-in invitation to come as you are. So we leaned all the way in. We started moving in a direction where their brand could be built around connection, community, and cheeky nostalgia. We kicked things off by getting super clear on who they were and what they stood for. And after a deep dive discovery session, here's what we pulled together. A color palette of mid-century modern tones, anchored by a custom yellow brick road hue. For the typography, a mix of vintage diner charm with a modern twist. For brand patterns, we designed a custom bagel motif that ran through everything from merch to menus, to even the wallpaper on the bar at the front of the restaurant. And we came up with the tagline, "There's no place like Good Judys," because obviously. And then we applied that everywhere. The counters, window decals, coffee sleeves, merch, menus, stickers, you name it. Nothing felt random. In fact, every detail from the moment you step into the parking lot reflected the brand's heart. Then came the launch day. And here's everything that happened. They sold out by 10:30 a.m. that opening day. People thought they were a franchise because of how polished everything looked. Like, people were asking, "You guys are a chain, right?"
One of the biggest things that kind of happened since implementing our brand is the number of people who are like, "Are you a franchise?" And we're like, "No, like, we started this business all just the two of us. And at a very important, kind of turning point for the business, we made a decision to really invest in a new brand identity and things like that. And it really paid off. It's allowed us to focus on other areas of the business because the brand is able to speak for itself.
People are going to see colors and parts of our design and they're just going to automatically know, like, oh, that's Good Judys, because we have that consistent branding now.
Website traffic spiked, their social engagement exploded, and they won Best New Food Business of 2024, just months after launching. But you know what the real win was? We were able to build a brand together that feels like them and their community sees it too. And this was their feedback.
I definitely got a lot more value out of the process than I thought I would get.
I would even say, as the one who does a lot of our marketing materials or making our menus, different things like that, it has drastically cut down on the amount of time I spend doing some of that because I know what to pull from, what I'm going to be using, and I can really just focus on the content displaying well and being easy to read and things like that, and the brand I can just slap on top of it. I don't know how what I ended up with is exactly what we wanted, but it is so perfect, and it was such a positive experience.
And did you notice that none of this happened because of a trend or a viral reel? It happened because they stopped trying to blend in and started owning their story. Because branding really isn't about just looking pretty. It's about building trust before people even taste your product or hear your pitch. That's what we did with this brand. And if you're a founder that's sitting on something great, this is what becomes possible when your brand finally matches your vision. Now, if you're ready to stop piecing things together and finally build a brand that people are talking about, I would love to support you. You can book a one-on-one brand audit with me or explore our done-for-you brand strategy and design services. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life brand case studies and behind-the-scenes strategy breakdowns. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about how your brand looks, but it's actually about how it makes people feel. That's all for today. I'll see you next time.